The sun had just begun to rise over the distant planet of Zephyria, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. Its twin moons hung low, still visible in the fading darkness, casting a gentle light across the jagged cliffs and endless sand dunes. Ethan, a human explorer, adjusted his pack and scanned the horizon through his binoculars. The terrain here was harsh, unlike anything he had seen before, and he had been tasked with surveying new areas for possible human-alien research collaborations. The heat of the day was already beginning to build, but Ethan felt a strange excitement in the air. Today he wasn't just exploring the land. He hoped to uncover stories of life hidden deep within Zephyria's canyons. He moved carefully, his boots crunching against the coarse red sand. Ahead, a small canyon opened like a secret doorway into the mountains. Smoke, or perhaps steam, rose gently from somewhere within, suggesting the presence of life. As he stepped closer, Ethan spotted something unusual. A small figure crouched near a patch of glowing plants, shivering despite the warmth of the morning. The figure was tiny, no taller than a human child, with pale lavender skin that shimmered slightly in the light. Its hair seemed almost translucent, and its eyes glowed faintly like lanterns in the dark. Ethan froze. He had never seen a Zephyrian child so close before. "Hello?" he called softly, raising a hand in a gesture of peace. The figure stiffened but didn't move. Then slowly it turned. Ethan noticed that its legs seemed weak, almost unusable. The child struggled to stand and relied heavily on her arms to lift herself. She looked at him with wide, cautious eyes, fear and curiosity mixing in her gaze. I won't hurt you," Ethan said gently, kneeling to appear less threatening. "My name is Ethan, I'm human. I explore and help." The girl didn't speak. Instead, she shook her head slightly as if trying to hide herself. Her small hands clutched at her chest as she tried to rise but failed, collapsing back to the ground. Ethan felt a pang of sympathy. Something was wrong with her legs, and she clearly needed help. Carefully, he approached and knelt beside her, keeping his voice calm. "It's okay. You don't have to move. I can help you." The girl's eyes darted around, then back at him. Finally, she whispered, almost inaudibly, "No. Help." Ethan nodded. "I understand. But sometimes help isn't bad. Sometimes it's the only way to see things we've never seen before." The girl hesitated, and Ethan noticed a flicker of something in her eyes. Hope, perhaps, or curiosity. He reached slowly into his pack and pulled out a small device. It unfolded into a lightweight hover chair. "This will carry you," he said. "You can rest and I'll take you anywhere safely." She tilted her head, examining it. I cannot," she began, then faltered. "You don't have to sit if you don't want," Ethan said. "But you can trust me." A long silence followed. The girl finally nodded, and with Ethan's gentle guidance, she lifted herself into the hover chair. Her eyes widened as the chair hummed softly, lifting a few inches off the ground. For a moment, she looked around in awe, as though seeing the world from this small height gave her a new perspective. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. "The ocean," Ethan replied simply. "It's far, but I promise you will see it. You'll feel the water, the waves, and the sand. You'll see the sunset over it just like we see on Earth." Her eyes widened even more. She had never seen the ocean, and judging by her reaction, she may never have imagined it existed. "I cannot walk," she said softly, almost as if testing the words aloud. "I know," Ethan said kindly, "but you don't have to walk. You just need to come with me and we'll get there together." She studied him for a long moment. Finally, she whispered, "I trust you." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. Trust was rare, especially across worlds, and he would not betray it. He adjusted the controls of the hover chair, and together they began their journey. The canyon stretched for miles and the path was rough. The hover chair glided over sand and rock, but Ethan had to be careful. Zephyria's deserts were treacherous, full of sudden drops, hidden crevices, and patches of sand that could swallow a person whole. The girl, Lyra, as Ethan soon learned, held on tightly, her fingers gripping the armrests. Her eyes darted from side to side, fascinated by the glowing flora and the strange wildlife scuttling across the rocks. "You've never seen this place before?" Ethan said, noticing her amazement. "No," she admitted. "I never left my village." Ethan nodded. He understood. Life here was harsh, and the villagers rarely ventured far. But he also knew that the human spirit, or perhaps any spirit willing to take risks, thrived on exploration. Then today, you'll see more than anyone else has, he promised. Hours passed as they moved through the canyon. The sun climbed high and the heat grew intense. Lyra began to relax, asking questions about Ethan's life, his world, and the other planets humans had explored. She laughed softly when he described the vast oceans of Earth, imagining waves taller than her village's cliffs. Ethan smiled at her excitement, feeling a deep connection forming despite the differences in their species. By midday, they reached a wide plateau. From here, they could see the distant horizon stretching endlessly. Ethan stopped the hoverchair and let Lyra lean forward. "Do you see that?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Far water?" "Yes," Ethan said. "That's the ocean. We're not there yet, but we will be soon." Lyra's eyes sparkled. She reached out almost as if she could touch the ocean already. "Isa never knew," she whispered. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Her wonder reminded him why he had chosen this life. Seeing someone discover beauty they had never known, especially someone who had been confined all their life, was priceless. They continued, navigating rocky ridges and glowing forests at the canyon's edge. The hoverchair made travel easier, but it couldn't eliminate the dangers entirely. At one point, a sudden sandstorm erupted and Ethan had to shield Lyra, lowering the chair close to the ground. The wind howled, sand stinging their faces, but he refused to panic. Lyra gripped him tightly, whispering, "Safe." "Safe?" "Yes," he said firmly. "I've got you." When the storm passed, they emerged covered in dust but unharmed. Lyra's eyes were bright and she laughed, a sound like bells ringing softly through the desert. Ethan laughed too, relieved. As the day wore on, the canyon began to open into rolling plains. Strange. Giant creatures grazed in the distance, unaware of the human and alien girl passing quietly. Lyra's fascination grew with every sight. Huge," she whispered. "They are," Ethan agreed. "But they're gentle if you don't scare them." Night fell and the sky exploded with stars. Lyra had never seen anything like it. She stared in awe as the twin moons reflected off the dunes, and the distant horizon hinted at the vast ocean yet to come. Ethan made a small fire, careful not to disturb the alien wildlife. He offered Lyra water and some food he had packed, and she ate quietly, still staring at the stars. "Do you miss home?" Ethan asked gently. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But this place, it feels big, like freedom." Ethan smiled. "That's what I want for you. Freedom to see everything you've dreamed of and maybe more." For the first time, Lyra smiled fully, showing small, delicate teeth. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "You're welcome. But this is just the beginning. Tomorrow we get closer, and soon you will touch the ocean." That night, Ethan kept watch while Lyra slept. He reflected on the day, the trust she had placed in him, the wonder he had seen in her eyes, and the bond that was forming between human and alien. He realized that the true adventure wasn't just reaching the ocean. It was the journey itself, the connection, the belief that one being could inspire another to see the world in ways they never imagined. As the twin moons rose higher, Ethan quietly whispered to himself, "We'll get there. Lyra, I promise." And somewhere in her dreams, the ocean shimmered just out of reach, waiting for the moment she would finally stand on its shores. The morning sun rose slowly over the plains, casting long shadows across the sand. Ethan checked the hoverchair, making sure Lyra was comfortable. She had slept peacefully, curled in the soft cushions, her glowing eyes closed, her breathing steady. For the first time, Ethan felt a quiet confidence that today they would reach the ocean. "Good morning, Lyra," Ethan said softly. She opened her eyes, blinking at the sunlight. "Morning, Ethan," she whispered. Her voice sounded stronger today, filled with a small spark of excitement. "Are you ready to keep going?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, I want see ocean." Ethan helped her adjust in the hoverchair. Together they moved forward, leaving the campsite behind. The plains stretched endlessly, dotted with strange flora that shimmered in the sunlight. Giant insects flew overhead, their wings reflecting colors like stained glass. Ethan marveled at the beauty, but his focus remained on Lyra, who seemed to take in everything with wide-eyed wonder. Hours passed and the journey became more challenging. They had to cross rocky ridges and steep valleys. The hoverchair made travel easier, but the terrain was uneven. At one point they encountered a shallow river, its waters glowing faintly from the minerals in the soil. Ethan carefully maneuvered the chair, but the rocks shifted beneath them, threatening to tip the chair. "Hold on," Ethan shouted, steadying the controls. Lyra gripped the armrest tightly, her body tense. Okay," she said, voice trembling. They made it across, and Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. "You? Strong," she said quietly. "I'm just careful," he replied with a small smile. "And I have to be, because I have someone very important riding with me." Lyra's cheeks flushed, and she looked down, embarrassed. There was something in her gaze that hinted at gratitude, but also something deeper, something Ethan couldn't quite name. As the day grew hotter, they stopped to rest under the shade of a massive alien tree, its branches glowing faintly. Ethan gave Lyra some water and encouraged her to eat. She accepted quietly, her eyes drifting toward the horizon. "Is ocean fair?" she asked. "Not much farther," Ethan said. "We'll get there before nightfall if we keep going." Lyra's eyes lit up, but there was a hesitation in her expression. Ethan noticed it but decided not to press. Some secrets revealed themselves in their own time. They continued. The plains gradually gave way to rolling dunes golden in the late afternoon light. The air shimmered with heat and the sand seemed endless. Ethan's arms ached from controlling the hover chair, but he refused to slow down. Lyra's fascination kept him going. She leaned forward, pointing at distant shapes on the horizon. "Wave?" she asked. Ethan's heart leapt. "Yes, that's the ocean." "Can you see it?" She nodded slowly, eyes wide. "Big, so big." He smiled. "You'll get to touch it soon. Just a little farther." They descended the final dunes, and Ethan carefully guided the hover chair down a slope toward the shoreline. The sand here was soft and warm, unlike the rocky plains they had crossed. The sound of water crashing against the shore reached their ears, faint at first, then growing louder. Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. "I never," she whispered. Ethan stopped the chair and looked at her. "Do you want to stand?" he asked gently. Lyra froze. Ethan noticed something unusual in her posture. The slightest tension in her legs, a subtle shift in balance. He didn't push further, giving her space. Then slowly she lowered her hands from the chair. Her legs wobbled, but to Ethan's amazement they held her weight. She gasped, stepping forward cautiously. One foot, then the other. She was walking. You can walk?" Ethan asked, stunned. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. I never told family, they think." "I cannot," she admitted softly. Her voice trembled with a mixture of fear and joy. "I really wanted sea ocean, so I tried." Ethan felt a surge of admiration. The girl had hidden her ability for years, yet her determination had brought her to this moment. "I knew you could do it," he said sincerely. "I just needed you to trust yourself." A small smile appeared on Lyra's face. She took a few more steps, her movements growing steadier. Then with a burst of courage, she ran toward the water, laughing, a sound full of pure joy. Ethan followed slowly, his heart swelling as he watched her dip her toes into the foaming waves. The ocean stretched endlessly, a deep blue merging with the horizon. Waves crashed gently, sending sprays of water into the air. Lyra bent down, scooping up a handful and letting it slip through her fingers. Her laughter echoed across the shore, mixing with the sound of the waves. Ethan stood behind her, watching in awe. "You've dreamed of this for so long," he said softly. "And now, here you are." Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes shining. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "You did it," Ethan said. "I just helped you believe." For hours they stayed by the water. Lyra ran along the shoreline, sometimes stopping to collect shells or examine tiny glowing creatures scuttling across the sand. She experimented with walking and running, reveling in the freedom she had never known. Ethan laughed with her, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. As the sun began to set, painting the ocean in shades of orange and purple, Lyra sat on the sand, her feet in the water, watching the horizon. Ethan sat beside her, sharing a quiet moment. "I never knew I could feel this," she whispered. "That's the beauty of life," Ethan said. "Sometimes we don't realize what we're capable of until we try. Sometimes we need a little help to see it." Lyra smiled, looking at him. "You more than help. You friend. No, more human. Like you make me brave." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. "And you inspire me too," he said. "I've learned more from you than I could ever teach." The stars began to twinkle above, mirrored in the calm ocean waters. Lyra leaned against Ethan, exhausted but happy. "Tomorrow, we explore more?" she asked. "Tomorrow anything is possible," Ethan replied, "and we'll do it together." Night fell and the twin moons reflected off the water, casting a soft glow on the shore. Ethan kept watch, marveling at the courage, determination, and hidden strength of the alien girl beside him. He realized that true adventure wasn't just about reaching distant places. It was about helping others discover their own potential. Lyra drifted to sleep under the stars, finally at peace, finally free. Ethan watched over her, feeling the bond between human and alien grow stronger with every heartbeat. For both of them, this was just the beginning. An ocean of possibilities stretched before them, endless and waiting, and somewhere deep in the waves, it seemed to whisper a promise that no matter the obstacles, no matter the limitations others placed on them, together, they could achieve the impossible.